Hello everyone, Jesse here, and today on Mushroom Dojo, I'm reviewing the Sega Ages title called Space Harrier. As always, we're going to take a look at the facts first. Space Harrier offers 2 modes across 16 levels. The main slice of this retro pie sees you control your character, zooming across each level in a pseudo 3D space, dodging objects, and killing enemies and the eventual end level boss, as one does in a shoot 'em up. It's a gameplay loop that's fine for short sessions, so this works perfectly for handheld gameplay. The second mode gives you shields, temporarily making you invulnerable to enemies' attacks. I found this mode to be interesting, in that I would definitely advise anyone to play this after they've already beat the main game mode. It's a nice little addition to Space Harrier that isn't necessarily necessary, but it's appreciated. There are a few difficulty modes to play, in addition to bosses to fight. I found it pretty easy to fine-tune my combination of difficulty to lives available that meshed with my shoot first, die seconds after playstyle. Surprisingly enough, there isn't a boss rush mode, something that every arcade shooter should have. Otherwise, that's basically all there is to Space Harrier. It's a pure and simple Z-axis shoot 'em up. Curiously enough, for as many options as Space Harrier has, it's missing a setting that changes the way the game responds to your analog stick inputs. You see, your character's movements are different depending on if you choose to move with the analog stick versus the Switch's D-pad. If you choose the analog stick, you move in that direction, but you're tethered to the center of the screen. So, when you release the stick, your character shoots back to the center. When using the D-pad though, you stay in your designated area. This difference in control styles can change the way you play. For instance, I found that dodging was easier with the analog stick option since I could whip back to the center when needed. Whereas staying in a certain area with the D-pad makes it easier to focus on an enemy in that location. Perhaps the best thing about Space Harrier are the new improvements. As a Sega Ages title, there are some new quality of life improvements that make the game a lot more fun. The base game is still the same thing you would have played all those many years ago, but it's wrapped up in a new shell with more modern enhancements. For one, you can create up to 10 save states. This is super helpful when you're advancing from level to level. Simply pop a save so you don't lose your progress if that just so happens to be the level where you bite the dust. As one might expect from a retro title, from widescreen to 4:3 aspect ratio and scanlines galore, you get to play Space Harrier however you want to. So yeah, that's Space Harrier in a nutshell. In classic arcade shoot 'em up fashion, the game is more about finding your own fun than creating those ways for you. That could be beating your own high score, someone else's high score, or even speedrunning until you beat a personal goal. Either way, Space Harrier is a game that's pretty much what you see is what you get. And for an old-timey game like this, it certainly worked at the time. However, this isn't exactly a game I'd be all willy-nilly about today. There are probably better ways you can spend your money. That said, with how cheap the Sega Ages titles tend to be, I wouldn't call this a must-buy, but if you're at all interested in a game like this, it's worth taking the plunge. And that's all the time we have for today. I'm Jesse, you're watching Mushroom Dojo, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day.